What up, you guys? Shout out here in Singapore. And as always, thank you so much for joining me on the Night Owl podcast. I don't know how you found me, but I'm so grateful that you did. I'm hoping that you're enjoying the things that I talk about, the subjects that I pick on, the things that I pick apart, the ideas, the beliefs, the quotes, all that stuff. I'm hoping that they're actually useful and helpful to you. It helps me actually a lot of the times, but I sit here on this podcast and I kind of walk myself through my thought process as I looked at a quote and how it hit me and the things, the ideas that occurred to me, right? I like doing that because it actually helps me reinforce some of the beliefs or actually work through some of these new beliefs that I'm slowly adopting. So one of these is a quote from a friend of mine, actually. We grew up together. We worked at what used to be Fairfield Resorts is now Wyndham Worldwide, and he no longer works there now because he's, world famous speaker and all. But I remember when Kinja and I worked at Wyndham, and he was a salesperson, I was a marketing person. We were all friends, me, my husband, him, we were all good friends. And I remember who he was back then, and then to watch and see how he's grown and changed and evolved since then, magnificent. And I can't wait to be able to, enjoy more discussions with him in the future. But the quote that I want to talk about is something from his Recreationism book. And the website is actually recreationism.com, and the quote is, actions prove who someone is, words just prove who they want to be. Now that's really important to me because I feel like we take so much meaning from the things that people say. We hope so badly that what they're saying is everything, and it's the gospel truth. They're telling you exactly who they're going to be and everything. And as much as I would love for that to be true, it's not always, right? Sometimes people say things in the moment because they feel it in the moment, but they don't feel it later on. I've had so many people tell me they love me, they'll never leave me, they can't believe that, they're so lucky, blah, blah, blah. But then, push come to shove, their actions, their behavior, their beliefs kind of take over. And the sad truth is not everyone is meant to be forever, right? So more than judging people for what they say, and I know a lot of us want to hold people accountable when they say, oh yeah, I'll never do this, or I've never done that, I promise to do this, I like doing this, I don't like doing that. Like whatever they say, we take it for all that it's worth. And when they don't come through on their word, we suddenly get very, very offended, and we start to question their entire character. And I'm not saying judge people. I'm not saying judge people at all. I'm saying take everything with a grain of salt. We start to let ourselves down where we expect something from somebody, right? And we need to allow people the grace to change their minds, to fall short of their words sometimes. And all of that because that we would want the same thing for ourselves. There are some days where we mean every word that we say, but somehow or another life gets in the way and we don't quite make it the way that we said we would, right? Maybe we said that we would, make a specific dish, and then something happened in the day where we didn't get around to cooking until much later, and then the amount of time it would have taken for us to make the dish that we promised we'd make, there just wasn't enough time, and they were coming home for dinner soon, and so you just made something else instead. So they would think that, you purposely led them on thinking one thing and then did something else, and it's not the case at all. You're doing the best you can, and I think that I would like for people to give me the grace to adjust according to life rather than to hold myself to my word all the time. Now, that also means that for me, I've learned not to promise anything unless I know I really can't deliver. I've made it a habit to under promise and over deliver as much as possible because I don't like that feeling of guilt and shame that comes with not keeping my word. And that's something as simple as not making it somewhere on time, or just missing people's events or not being able to make it. I had a friend of mine who had a birthday party recently, and I really wanted to go, but I had something else pop up in the meantime, and that had to take precedence, unfortunately. And as much as I had blocked out the day and I really wanted to be there, I couldn't make it. So unfortunately, I had to tell them that day, hey, I'm not gonna be able to make it because mom has some stuff going on. And it just so happened that I felt like crap afterwards. I really wanted to be there, and it was meant to be a surprise, so I didn't even want to say that, hey, I was supposed to come, but I didn't, because I didn't want them to feel like, they would take more meaning out of it than there actually was. So in those instances, I would like for people to give me the grace to make mistakes and adjust my schedule and change my mind if I want to. So the same thing goes for other people. I want you to be able to give them the benefit of the doubt. But part of that comes with, okay, they gave you their word on something. I don't want you to build your whole life around it, so that when things do happen and they change their mind or something changes along the way, you're not able to depend on the thing that they said or whatever. You're not so crushed and so defeated because you had an alternate just in case. You hear what I'm saying? So if you become very, very structured, so structured that if any change along the way, it's going to destroy everything that you've built on top of that, you're going to be upset constantly. You're going to be disappointed and frustrated constantly. And that's not a place that I like living in. It's very stressful to me. So for me, I had to let go of the reins a little bit. I had to allow for the wind to take over sometimes, to adjust my sails sometimes. Sometimes I'm in control, sometimes life takes over. But whatever the case may be, I have to be flexible enough to be able to move with the world, moved with, the plans that I made but didn't quite happen, and I forgive myself and keep on moving. So that's something that I've learned along the way. But I also realized that some people will talk a good game no matter what. They really depend on how much they can impress you with their words. They will say all kinds of stuff and promise the moon and the earth and the stars, and then push come to shove, they can't even give you a piece of paper if you ask for it because they just don't have it. They're not capable. It's not in their hands. You hear what I'm saying? So in those cases, I feel like as much as we would like to judge, as much as we would like to say, I told you so, see, this is why. I would rather you just understand that, hey, this is the person they are at the moment, and maybe they mean well, maybe their heart is in the right place, but because they don't know any better, they don't know how else to make their words match their actions, they haven't cleared enough space in their life to be able to do that yet, that you're going to have to give them some grace. You can't depend on those people. You can't build your life on those people because they're not steady enough for themselves to be able to be steady for you. Does that make sense? So as much as I would love to say, people can tell you all day long that they're so loyal and they're so great, and maybe once upon a time they felt like they were, or they set out to be, but somehow life knocked them down. Ex relationships, have kind of like broken their hearts and left them battered a little bit, battle scarred, battle worn. And so they don't know whether to trust or not. So as much as they would like to say, hey, yeah, I'm very, very loyal. I'm very, very a homebody. I don't want to go out all the time. But you can see, when you're around them, they get antsy, or they, can't sit still very long. They need the variety. They need excitement in their life. And maybe they're not looking to be disloyal, but they don't know how to be loyal either, because that means depending on one person. That's too much responsibility for any one place. And they've done that before. They put all their eggs in one basket before, and it hasn't worked out for them. So they're nervous. They're changed, right? They're once bitten, twice shy kind of thing. So those are all examples of why someone may not match up to their word. But for you as a person, when you're trying to build relationships and, build up your own life around people that you can depend on, people that you know that if you were to ask for help, they would be there in a jiffy, you know what I mean? Like they would answer the phone. For that to happen, you need to watch behavior rather than words. People will tell you all day long that they can do all these kinds of things, but once you ask them to do it, you will know whether they are capable or not. And sometimes they are capable in their own mind, their definition of whatever is the skill is that they've said that they can do versus your definition. I think I'm a pretty good photographer, but when I met one of my friends who is a fantastic photographer and they started giving me directions, I realized I didn't know shit. So as much as I said, yeah, I can take photos, they learned real quick that I can. Not to their level, right? Not to their satisfaction. And so that became a situation where I learned and I could ask questions and I could become better on my own, right? That was a place where I could work on my weakness a little bit. But I learned very quickly that as much as I would like to say that I am a good photographer, I'm really not. I'm not that great. So it was very humbling, right? And my definition was not the same as theirs. And it was quick. A very quick instant that I realized that, okay, I need to be careful what I say and explain myself a little bit more, because otherwise people are going to say that, oh yeah, she geeks herself up a lot. She talks a good game, but she's really not capable. So rather than do that, I let my actions speak more than my words do. A lot of times when it comes to talking about my business, how do I teach? What kind of transformation do I offer and all that stuff? It comes down to, okay, well, it's not what I can tell you I'm capable of doing. It's more like, what can my clients tell you that they have experienced with me? What was it that they felt when they came to me, and what is it that they feel afterwards? Like, how did that change? What was that like? And that's more powerful, I think. So again, it's all about the actions versus the words. Anyone can say anything. There's so much movie dialogue that can spout off all kinds of stuff, right? Everybody could be romantic because they've watched tons of romantic movies at some point in their life. They know. But for you to mean that stuff, for you to like really show that you know what the word love means, or you show what the word loyal means, or show what the word timeliness means, that's a different story entirely. So check that out. Think about that for a second. When people say that they're disappointed in you, don't take it as, oh my God, I'm worse. I am so bad, I'm a terrible person. Take it as, okay, they don't feel like my idea of timeliness matches up with their idea of timeliness or whatever it is that they're criticizing, and see if you can't bridge that gap. See if that's not like a place where you could learn a little bit more about yourself and improve yourself for yourself, not necessarily for the other person. So honestly speaking, I do take more value from the people and their actions than I do from their words, because it tells me so much more about who they are. And it's not a judgment thing at all. It's more like, okay, now that I know who you actually are based on your actions and your behavior, I know what I can and can't do with you. I know what I can and can't depend on with you. And that isn't to say that they might not be a really great gem of a person. I'm just not a good fit for them because I expect something else and they're not really in that league yet. They may be in other aspects, but maybe not in the league where they could be emotionally supportive to me, right? Maybe not in a way where they could be dependable to me. So these are all things that you have to pay attention to. There are slight pieces of information that really feed our lives because we build on the people around us, the circumstances that we live under, the relationships that we have around us. We build so much on that. We depend on so many things to fall into place for us to know what we can and can't do later on, what kind of freedom we can build into our lives. Like, honestly speaking, if I hadn't let go of my 9 to 5, I don't know that I would have had the freedom to be able to take care of my kid the way I want to, because I can't depend on them letting me go home at a specific time and then letting me be home without harassing me about work stuff all day long after that. So I got rid of the things that gave me insecurity, that caused any kind of vague ideas or doubts in my mind, that caused any kind of chaos in my life. The things that I could clean up, I cleaned up. The things that I couldn't clean up, I got rid of. And so I cleared space for me to live life the way that I wanted to. And this is why I say that behavior is more important than the words. You could sign a contract with someone saying that they will, honor this and honor that, and this is your, work timings and stuff. But we know there's a lot of gray out there with work timings as well. There's a lot of gray out there with, responsibilities and what actually your job entails versus what they said that you would be doing. You know what I mean? So behavior. It tells you so much more about that person, and it allows you to really see them as they truly are. The point is, though, don't hang yourself up on the fact that they said one thing and did something else. If you give them the grace to make mistakes, you won't be so disappointed. It's not about them being a good person or bad person and not keeping their word. It's more about you getting disappointed because you had that hope that they would actually come through on their word or whatever. So I'm hoping that helps. That was kind of heavy for me, even just talking about it. But this is why. This is why I clear what I can. And if I can't clear it up or clean it up or make it streamlined a little bit, I get rid of it, because I can't deal with chaos and uncertainty in my life. I need stability. I need that dependability in my life. I do. Because as much as I am a creative person, there are certain things that need to be consistent for me in order to live my best life and be as effective as possible. So I hope that helps you guys. Drop me a comment if you have any questions or concerns. And try not to judge people too harshly, but do take into consideration the fact that their behavior tells you a lot more about their character than their words ever will. Yeah? I'll catch you later. Bye.